When you are giving a presentation, most of the questions you get are simply requests for information. Sometimes, however, people may ask questions to impress the group with their own knowledge, especially if their boss is present. Others might want to unbalance you or have the need to feel superior, right? So how should you manage those questions?
Welcome to Confidently Speaking, the podcast that'll get you to fall in love with your own version of English.
Hello, everybody. This is Frank Chavira, your host, and I want to welcome you to yet another episode of Confidently Speaking. So, just as you heard in the teaser, today we're going to be talking about how to deal with difficult questions, right? You know, those questions that sometimes as you are presenting, at the end, you allow a little bit of room for Q&A, which is questions and answers, right? And then sometimes people want to impress their bosses or their peers as they are, as they're asking the question, as in, look at how much knowledge I possess, right? Look how much I know and how I'm going to leave this presenter perplexed. Now, here's the problem, because even though it might be the case, that they're trying to impress the people around them, you can never be sure of people's motives, right? So you're going to have to treat all questions as genuine requests of information. Now, also, you have to remember that you, as the presenter, are in a position of authority. So you need to act like it, right? Act like the chairperson of a meeting and think about your answers. You need to keep calm and try not to become emotional or confrontational, right? But at the same time, you need to be firm in your reply. Because, hey, check this out. Hesitancy is often seen as incompetence. Alrighty, so the very first thing you should do is keep eye contact with the whole group during your answer. Looking only at the questioner invites them to continue. Never try to bluff. Bluffing as in trying to tell them that you know what you're talking about and you actually don't, because you will nearly always be discovered. You will always be found out, right? So, don't lie, right? You certainly don't want to sound like a politician, because politicians are skilled at evading questions and answers. They actually answer questions nobody asked. So you don't want to be like that. If you don't know, just be honest. Hey, maybe give them a reason why and offer to find the answer. Then get the questioner's agreement on what you intend to do. For example, the questioner asks, can you show us how the consultants calculated the proposed changes? You can say this: I don't have the figures to hand, but if you leave me your contact details, I'll send you their report when I'm back in the office. Is that okay? And if anyone else is interested, hey, just let me know afterwards. How's that? In some cases, you might not be the right person to answer the question. And if you aren't, then offer to find the right person and get the answer or put the questioner in contact with them. Again, get agreement with your approach. Here's the question, right? What's the present status of a recruitment of the IT staff you will need? You may answer, well, that's really a question for our head of recruitment. I'll ask her to drop you an email with the latest report. Is that okay for you? Hey, I'll ask her to copy in anyone else interested in this too. If the question requires a long and complicated answer that would take up too much time, for example, arrange to have a private discussion after the presentation. Now, imagine this is the question, right? Could you go through the technical details of a new equipment for me, please? The answer could be, Well, as we only have another few minutes until the break, I suggest you and I meet privately afterwards to go through the details. Hey, would that be okay with you? And anyone else who's interested is welcome to join us. You could also suggest a private meeting for persistent questioners who take up too much time. Whatever approach you use to put off or postpone answering a question, get the questioner's agreement. Once the questioner agrees, the issue is temporarily removed from the discussion and you can move on. If you need time to think of a good answer to a difficult question, you might have the questioner repeat the question to give you a few seconds, a few moments to gather your thoughts. Imagine this is the question. Sorry. What criteria did you use during the recruitment process? You may answer, hey, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat the question, please? Or maybe you could ask the questioner to rephrase the question. Here's a question. Would all the stakeholders agree with your assessment and be on board with the changes you're making? Are your stakeholders fully informed about what's happening? The answer could be, hey, you know what? I don't quite follow you. Could you rephrase the question for me, please? A third option is to paraphrase the questions yourself. As in, here's the question. What are the main tasks of the project team over the next months? And where do you expect bottlenecks to occur? You might answer, so you want to know our priorities and expected problems, right? You should use these approaches if you really don't understand the question. Often, the questioner knows the answer and is happy to show off their knowledge, just like we said at the beginning, right? Sometimes you can throw the question back to the questioner or someone else in the audience. Check this out. Isn't it usually the case that projects of this size automatically overspend by at least 10%? You might answer, hey, I'm not aware of the exact figures. Does that match your own experience? See how by using this approach, you're throwing the question back at them? And sometimes they even give you the answer because they already know the answer. They just wanted to expose you, but you're smarter than that, right? If you expect some difficult questions, make it clear in your introduction that you will take questions only at the end of a presentation. Hey, get agreement on this and stick to it. This way, you won't get sidetracked by hostile questions, right? So guys, with this, we have reached the end of today's episode. However, I do still have a couple of things that I need to talk to you about. First of all, remember that while this podcast is, financially or monetarily free, I still expect you to pay back with your likes, with your comments, with, recommending this podcast to your friends, family, and, whoever you know that might benefit from it. Also, I wanted to tell you that you can follow me on my social media, right? Remember, I don't know where you are, but I am everywhere. So just look for English with Frank. On TikTok, on Instagram, on X, on Threads, on Facebook even, right? You will find me everywhere.